Welcome to RedisDays, New York. We began this journey 2 weeks ago in London, followed by San Francisco, and there's no place better than the Big Apple for a grand finale. I'm pumped by the energy I've seen coming from the Redis community in these 3 weeks, as thousands of you have joined us for our first live event in 2 years. You've engaged with our customers, industry luminaries, thought leaders, and Redis experts. You've asked pointed questions and gave us great feedback. Thank you for that amazing energy. It motivates us to push the bar even higher. A common thread throughout RedisDays is the importance of a real-time data layer across industries to build for a real-time world. We made key investments and announcements highlighting Redis JSON 2.0 and Redis Stack that enables you to meet those challenges. Today, we'll focus on how microservices and AI and ML help deliver an end-to-end real-time user experience. The digital world is so deeply ingrained in our daily routines, we might not even notice it anymore. But think about all the interactions we have in a day, such as making an online purchase, playing online games, transferring money, paying by credit card, and many others. They all involve using real-time data without realizing it. Only Redis can provide the sub-millisecond performance and millions of operations per second. And developers across the globe and industries are leveraging open source Redis and Redis Enterprise, our real-time data platform, as a critical component of any application. The popularity of Redis is reflected by 5 million plus Redis containers launched daily on Docker Hub, more than MongoDB, Elastic, and Cassandra combined. Redis JSON 2.0 is now GA and provides a flexible and high-performance document store with native indexing and full-text search, and we have demonstrated RedisFi, a real-time financial services robo-advisor app built with Redis JSON. To win in the real-time era, you not only need modern applications that are interactive and intelligent, but you also need to rethink your applications using new design patterns like microservices or event streaming architectures. Here is an example of modern data architecture for payment processing, which includes fraud detection, payments, settlement, and more. As you can see, each microservice has its own dedicated database for isolation. Redis Search to support authenticate digital identity, Redis Bloom to support their probabilistic fraud detection checkpoint, Redis Streams to serve as a message broker. Different microservices require optimal data models and processing engines. Redis simplifies the application architecture and reduces the overhead burden by providing one single multi-model platform. Not only does a modern data stack support these architectures, but it also needs to coexist with legacy systems. Redis Stack gives you the power to modernize your existing legacy systems without having to embark on a risky rip and replace strategy. Well, you may ask, what is a modern data stack? A modern data stack is built with performance-first approach, with sub-millisecond latency response to operate and compete in a real-time era. It needs to support modern data models and processing engines, enable AI ML, and deliver composable microservices. The developer experience must be simple so you can build apps faster. In short, it needs to be fast, smart, and simple. This modern data stack helps to deliver instantly delightful experience for your customers and clients, increase agility of your teams, and more importantly, helps you compete against digital native disruptors. These digital native companies are using data-driven technologies as a core to their business model, product, or distribution, and with less legacy infrastructure to maintain, can move more rapidly to disrupt the market and capture customers. No corner of the business world is immune to innovation, especially the financial services industry. The companies that don't modernize risk obsolescence. In the rush to deliver digital services and products, banks have made front-end modernization an IT priority. Based on a Forrester survey, more than 66% of FinServ institutions are executing digital transformation projects. So why aren't banks' customer service improvement efforts paying off? According to the World FinTech Report 2021, the reason might be in the lack of attention firms have given to their middle and back office operations. Businesses use legacy systems and cumbersome manual processes that are complex and siloed, clogging the digital ecosystem that banks are creating. Modernizing piecemeal does not work, so IT is faced with the daunting task of overhauling their entire legacy infrastructure. This, however, is very risky and can disrupt business continuity. An alternate approach is to do a phased modernization. The journey can start with low or non-disruptive modernization, like using an in-memory data layer powered by Redis to accelerate legacy systems to provide consumer-grade front-end experiences to their customers and clients, then work up to more impactful decoupling and modernization of monolithic systems using microservices powered by Redis Stack. From there, customers can use Redis for real-time AI to build more advanced services like adding real-time AI and ML to fraud detection, algorithm trading, loan approval, underwriting, and other middle office and back office processes. Operationalizing AI and ML in the enterprise is challenging, and organizations struggle to integrate the technology into their standard operations. Successful implementation depends not only on accurate models, but also on resilient data infrastructure because of the large dependency on the complex data pipelines. A Forrester Consulting survey shows that 40% of IT decision makers believe their current data architectures are not reliable and performant to meet future model inferencing needs. Redis for real-time AI can help. Dr. Alexander Mikhailov from Nationwide Building Society in his RedisDays London session talked about how using Redis as an in-memory data fabric to glue ML and NLP processing together. Now I want to invite Taimur Rashid, Chief Business Development Officer at Redis, with special guest Pascal Belaud, Managing Director, Customer Success Data and AI Group, Financial Services Vertical at Microsoft, to talk about how in-memory technologies are delivering real-time AI and ML in key verticals like financial services.
I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you to RedisDays New York. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Taimur Rashid. I'm the Chief Business Development Officer at Redis. And I'm really excited to talk to you today about how to infuse real-time AI into your financial services applications. And so let's get started. I'd like to first establish some context. It's always good to look at trends within the financial services industry. And there are 5 trends that I observed. Number 1, you have this push around customer experience. And most financial services organizations are finding ways that they can enhance the customer experience. And that, secondly, by adding digital capabilities as well too. More ways and opportunities for organizations to actually interact with their consumers through digital means, whether it's through mobile banking, personal banking, or other avenues that can really enhance the customer engagement. As more businesses move their operations online, there's a need to make sure that money that's being moved globally is being moved in the proper way and according to the right regulations. And so organizations need to protect themselves from financial crime. And with more activity being shifted online, cybersecurity is very important. How do you protect yourselves against bad actors and threats that are outside your organization? And finally, you have this 5th category where organizations are trying to find ways that they can find new growth vectors for their business. With most of that data moving online, there's insights that can be actually tapped into that can signal what new markets, what new capabilities can businesses venture into to go drive growth. When you look at all of those 5 trends together, there is a big push around customer experience and how customer experience can basically be a competitive differentiator. Now, at the heart of all those trends is data. Not just any kind of data, but real-time data. And when you look at digital application capabilities becoming more real-time, there's a variety of imperatives that most modern applications have. Number 1, obviously, you need to have a high availability. You need to have security, being globally distributed, always being on, And to the extent that you can leverage data to infuse more AI into them and make them more intelligent, all the better. But the most important thing here is speed. And in the financial services industry, speed really matters. Milliseconds can make the difference between millions, sometimes billions of dollars. And that's why, as we take those imperatives that real-time applications have, and then combine them with a convergence of market trends that we see within AI, we see a very unique opportunity. And in fact, there are three specific trends that I'd like to share with you. Number one, 52% of organizations in one survey have actually cited that they've accelerated their adoption of AI, and largely due to the pandemic. In a survey that we did with Forrester Consulting, 40% of IT decision makers actually said that they need to modernize their infrastructure and their data architectures to be able to meet the future needs of AI and machine learning. And then finally, in a study from Gartner, with all the investments that have been going into AI, whether it's talent, whether it's tools, whether it's frameworks, now's the time that organizations have to show the business value and the business outcomes on that investment. So keeping those trends in mind, there are two anchoring themes at Redis for real-time AI. The first one is data infrastructure modernization, where the primary use case for Redis is as the online feature store. And this is part of a broader MLOps framework. And what we've observed through our ecosystem is you've had customers such as Netflix, Spotify, DoorDash, that have built their own machine learning platforms over the past few years and have started sharing their architectures with the broader community. One thing that's clearly stood out is the feature store, which is a centralized repository to store features and actually serve that as part of the broader MLOps framework. The second category that we see for Redis is being able to help accelerate the pace at which companies can build AI applications. And this is where Redis can be a vector database for similarity searches. Now, I'd like to take the opportunity and talk a little bit more about both of these. So Redis is an online feature store. When you look at this canonical architecture, you can see where Redis fits in the broader MLOps framework, from data sources being collected and features being engineered and calculated, and then ultimately being served for online predictions. This is where Redis's low latency characteristics, high throughput, data versatility, and above all, developer popularity have made it an ideal solution for an online feature store. What we've done over the past year is integrated with a number of popular frameworks, tools, as well as cloud providers. We did an integration with Feast last year. Feast is the open source software for feature stores. Redis is a fully supported online store for Feast. Last year, we also partnered very closely with the Azure ML team, and we jointly built a reference architecture for feature store on Azure by taking Azure Data Services, Azure Cache for Redis, with the Redis Enterprise tiers, combining them into a solution whereby customers can modernize their underlying data layer for machine learning. And earlier this month, we actually announced a partnership with Tekton, a feature store company, in being able to take Redis Enterprise and integrating it with Tekton, and that's fully available on AWS as well. And we've seen stellar performance benchmarks with Tekton and Redis Enterprise combined together, where you have 3x better latency at 14x better cost than some of the other solutions that are available in the market. So that's the work that we've done with the feature store. Now, as we transition into the topic of vector similarity, I'd like to first ground us on how information retrieval is done today. When you look at information retrieval today, so your classic search, you're doing it through keyword search based. You might have tags, you might have keywords. It's usually against structured data. Now, what happens when you want to search through unstructured data? And there are vast amounts of unstructured data that some resources have said that About 80 to 90% of data is unstructured in the form of videos, audio, and unstructured text. This is where vector search comes into play, whereby you can take this raw data, you can represent it in what we call vector embeddings, and using that as a way then to do similarity searches. Now I'd like to talk about how Redis can be used as a vector database for similarity searches. Let me actually walk you through the pipeline. So you may have unstructured data in the form of audio, text, or videos. You can apply machine learning models or deep learning models against that data to basically generate vector embeddings. As I mentioned earlier, vector embeddings are mathematical representations of unstructured data. Once you have these vector embeddings, you can use special algorithms to create a vector index. The vector index can be across millions and sometimes billions of vector embeddings. And that's very processor intense, very memory intense. And this is where Redis shines very well, in being able to create this index, but then ultimately when you run a query against the data, you can do it very fast and very accurate. And this is where Redis becomes the vector database for similarity searches. And I'm really excited to announce that we have a public preview available for Redis Vector Similarity Search, which you can sign up for and start using for vector similarity projects. But let's talk about some of the use cases. You have everyday use cases that are powered through similarity searches, such as visual search, on websites like Pinterest or Amazon, through Q&A systems or natural language search capabilities through customer service. It might be Q&A systems, it might be recommendation systems, and then your classic e-commerce recommender system, where it's taking a variety of data, looking at similarity across entities, and being able to do personalized recommendations. Those are everyday use cases, but let's talk a little bit about how you can infuse vector similarity in financial services applications. And this is where it gets very interesting based on those 5 trends I mentioned earlier, where you can take regular consumer experiences and make them much more personalized by being able to use vector similarity. You can take those digital capabilities that you already have, and using vector similarity, you can enhance it with things like dynamic pricing. You can do promotions. You can do a variety of things then to bring more AI into those digital experiences. Financial crime, you can improve the speed and accuracy at which money laundering, for example, is being detected. In cybersecurity, better capabilities to do, entity identification, anomaly detection, or assessment of vulnerabilities across your enterprise. And then finally, when you look at new business growth, being able to use vector similarity to do market trend analysis, or how do you actually make intelligent investment decisions? And this is where I'd really like to highlight a use case, which we actually have a demo for, which is being able to use vector similarity to analyze SEC 10K filings. 10K filings have so much content in them, but it's all unstructured. Now imagine you wanted to do investment analysis or market trend analysis based on certain keywords like liquidity or COVID-19 or supply chain shortages. You can apply machine learning models and deep learning models against those 10K filings, create vector embeddings, store the vector embeddings in Redis, and then once you have the vector search index, you can then basically run a query to get valuable insights. And it's with that in mind that I'm really excited to bring Ed Sandoval, who is going to basically show a demo of Redis as a vector database for similarity searches, partnered with the Microsoft team in taking Azure ML to be able to do those vector embedding generations. And so I'd like to turn it over to Ed, who's going to actually do a demo. And after the demo, I'll be joined by our guest speaker from Microsoft, and we'll have a conversation about artificial intelligence and machine learning in the financial services industry.
Thanks, Taimur. Hi, everyone. My name is Ed Sandoval. I'm a senior product manager at Redis, where I focus on AI and machine learning products. Today, I'm going to show you vector similarity search in action. But before I do that, I'd like to build a little bit further on the context that Taimur shared earlier. Every year, publicly listed companies submit thousands of documents to the SEC. These corporate filing documents contain a wealth of information about a business. They describe important aspects of their operations, market opportunities, risk, details of any lawsuit, merger and acquisitions, and even how companies are adapting and responding to ongoing challenges like the pandemic and geopolitical conflict. In addition, there are multiple other sources of text data available to analyze financial services. News articles and social media outlets generate millions of articles and posts. But how can vector similarity search be put to good use to extract valuable information? One key application of vector similarity when used on text data is semantic similarity. You can think of semantic similarity as the ability to compare the meaning of two paragraphs or two sentences. As Taimur alluded earlier, you need two key ingredients before you start building a semantic similarity app. First, you need a model that turns each of these paragraphs or sentences into a vector, a numerical representation that is semantically rich. And second, you need a place to store these vectors so you can compare them. With Redis Search 2.4, you can use Redis as a vector database and perform vector similarity search. With these two ingredients in place, you have the building blocks for a semantic similarity app. The ability to perform semantic similarity search across sentences and paragraphs in SEC filings is great. But with Redis Search 2.4, you can take it a step further. You can combine semantic, lexical search, and simple database filtering capabilities to get to more relevant results faster. To illustrate this, let's walk through an example. Take a natural language query such as supply shortages. Once you run that through an AI model, you can get a vector representation of that sentence. If you submit that sentence or the vector representation of it to Redis Search, you can retrieve the most semantically similar paragraphs to that. And this in itself is interesting. However, what if you wanted to limit the search to companies only in the biotech sectors with filings in the last 12 months? And even further, what if you want to aggregate these results by company? This could yield interesting insights into which companies are citing this issue in their filings. And in that sense, you can start seeing whether there is an opportunity or a risk here for your portfolio. These are the kinds of applications that Redis Search 2.4 can help you build. And with that, let's take a look at a demo. If you join us at Keynote session on Redis Day London, you may have seen RedisFi. It's a robo-advisor built entirely on the Redis real-time platform. With it, you can keep track of your investments and different assets. For the purposes of this demo, we partnered with a team from Microsoft and we vectorized or regenerated embeddings for thousands of documents submitted to the SEC. These are 10K and 10Q documents. To be clear, each of these filings, each of these 10K and 10Q documents was broken down into individual paragraphs. Each of those paragraphs was then run through an AI model to generate an embedding. The embeddings, along with all of the metadata associated with the filing, was uploaded into Redis. And what you're seeing is an UI that allows me to search on that data. Let's start with a simple query to understand how semantic similarity can be useful. If I type a query like this, scary times ahead, and use lexical search, not semantic similarity, we will find that there is no result. The word scary is probably unlikely to be in any filing submitted to the SEC. However, if I turn now to semantic similarity, I immediately start to get results that highlight different kinds of risky or scary situations, a pandemic, or it could be technological challenges, or it could be many risks, or in the majority of the cases, it seems to be risk or challenges that are being highlighted. So this is already interesting. And when I move to a query that is more likely to be in the filings, something like concerns over protest, it is still ambiguous. It's not clear about what kind of protest are we talked about and what kind of concerns? But let's try a semantic search on this. A quick look at the result, and you start seeing that the different kinds of risk or protest, like social unrest, political unrest, protests in Hong Kong last year, and civil and political instability start to appear. So what we can see is the semantic similarity has a huge value. For my next and final query, I want to focus on how do you start spotting trends or valuable insights out of this data. And for that, I'm going to focus on an issue that the industry has been facing some challenges, which is the manufacturing or the lack of availability of semiconductor chips. If I do a semantic search, immediately I start to get individual paragraphs from filings across multiple companies. And some of these companies, as you would expect, are semiconductor companies. So far, so good. But if I actually aggregated those results, I could start seeing which companies are citing this issue more frequently in their filings. In this case, Microchip, Raytheon, Biogen, and International Paper Co. So this is where aggregating those the results of those queries actually start revealing patterns here. So if you look at this list, these are, as you would expect, mostly semiconductor companies, but there are a few automotive companies too. And if I focus on one of them, I can go down to the individual paragraphs where this company mentioned this particular issue. And we think that this is super valuable because not only we're doing semantic search on the data, but we have the ability to aggregate that data and actually zoom out of that and then zoom back into individual filings. And this helps analysts research the market and spot opportunities to trade. If you enjoyed the demo, join me and Charles Morris, Head of Enterprise Data Science for Financial Services at Microsoft, later on today. We will provide more details on how we built this demo and share some of the lessons we learned during the process. And with that, back to you, Taimur.
Thank you for that amazing demo. Now, as we transition to the next part of the segment, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome our guest speaker, Pascal Belaud from Microsoft. Pascal is a managing director for customer success as part of the Azure Data and AI team, focused on financial services. Welcome, Pascal.
Hello, Taimur. Thank you very much for having me today. I really feel privileged to be part of this great event.
Yeah, it's great to have you. And as we saw the demo just now, it's great to see how technologies like Redis can be used for machine learning use cases. And when you look at the financial services industry, there's so many ways the industry can leverage artificial intelligence and machine learning. And I'm really looking forward to chatting with you in more detail about those. But before we do that, would love to learn more about you and what you do at Microsoft.
Like you said, my name is Pascal Belaud, and I've been working for Microsoft for the last 24 years. I currently lead an organization of close to 80 very talented cloud solution architects and data scientists within the customer success organization. We are in charge of the biggest financial services customer across the US. That represents close to 300 customers distributed across banking, insurance, and capital markets. Our goal is to help our customers unlock their potential within their respective business by leveraging the latest innovations our Azure platform has to offer. As part of our strategy, a couple of years ago, we founded a very unique program called the Enterprise Data Science Program, or EDSP. To make this a reality, we built a dedicated team of very strong data scientists that we call the Enterprise Data Science Team. And their goal is really to help our customers make significant progress in their state-of-the-art AI models production, most of the time at no cost for the customer. We've had the privilege of partnering with many customers, building AI solutions in their environments on their own data. This close collaboration between the Microsoft Customer Success Organization and our customers has allowed us to develop a deep understanding of the problems customers in the financial services industry are trying to solve and the challenges, frankly, they face in doing so.
No, that's really exciting to see. And, what we have observed over the past several years is Microsoft has taken a very intentional effort in customer success and really using that as a strategic function to help customers adopt the broad set of cloud-based solutions that Microsoft offers today. Along those lines, can you talk a little bit about what are some of those initiatives and use cases, and even to the extent that you can share, maybe a few customer examples of financial services organizations that are using the cloud more broadly, and then more specifically, artificial intelligence and machine learning?
Absolutely. Listen, we've been engaged in a variety of domains, such as conversational AI, document intelligence, language models, to name a few. Take Northern Trust, for example. We've been helping them implement a process to automate data extraction from alternative asset documentation. The integration of unstructured data on alternative assets feel a crucial missing piece for asset owners who have long sought an accurate view of performance, liquidity, and risk analytics across multi-asset portfolios. Their new data extraction capabilities, powered by Azure Applied AI Services, read stored documents and fund managers' reports on holdings and performance of hedge funds, private equity, and other alternative assets, and then pull out data points, including asset names, currency, and market value. So the two functions, document capture and data extraction, create an end-to-end, scalable, cloud-based process capable of moving from document receipt notification to digitized, accounting-ready data in just minutes. Another great example of leveraging Azure AI and its cognitive services this time is Allstate. We have a very long and trusted relationship with them and have been partnering with them on a project to offer a whole new way of interacting with their customers when they are involved in a car accident, for example. At the beginning of their digital transformation journey, they realized that when a customer reports their accident, initially, they were providing a whole bunch of rich details that Allstate was simply not able to capture effectively. Typically, when a customer calls them, we can all agree that this is a pretty traumatic experience for them, right? So Allstate wanted to make sure that their customers could move through that feeling of fear and reduce all their effort and the friction that they need to go through. So they decided that they were going to capture all of the voice calls they had with their customers. As part of capturing that, they are transcribing the call using artificial intelligence techniques. With their transcription work, when a customer reports their accident initially, they are now able to take all that rich detail and figure out, without involving the customers, how to process their claim. Their customer only have to explain what happened once. Our Azure Cognitive Services allowed Allstate to create custom model, 100% built to handle their very insurance-specific vocabulary. The ability to customize their platform was a key thing for them, and that is why they chose Microsoft Azure. Taimur, across all the industries, we are seeing huge growth in companies developing natural language processing, or NLP, applications, and leveraging the ability to fine-tune powerful language models to feed their downstream applications. The demo we saw earlier is another great example of using these language models to embed SEC filings to enable semantic similarity search across filings. And I'd like really to take this opportunity to call out Charles Morris and Jack Wong, senior data scientists in my org, who did an incredible work in helping building this demo. I know also that Ed Sandoval on your team, Taimur, was instrumental as well. Actually, I believe that all of them are going into much more details in the technical session they will be presenting later today.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'm so glad that you called that out, because it was a great partnership between our team and your team in putting that demo together. And like you said, the session later on in the day will be very informative and go deeper into the subject matter. But along that note, just these examples that you've shared, it's just great to see how companies are taking the AI technology, and whether it's Allstate or any other company, doing insurance, claim filing, whatever it may be, they're really driving business outcomes through the AI that they're implementing. So it's really great to see that. And more broadly, I can see so many use cases for how AI can be applied, right? But when you actually look at it, and I mentioned this earlier in the beginning part of the keynote, that a big push from organizations is making sure that they have the right underlying infrastructure and data architecture to meet these many future needs of AI and ML. So there's a big push towards modernizing that data layer. Over the past few years, we've developed a very good partnership with the Microsoft teams. And when you look at the partnership overall, it's really about taking this Redis enterprise capability as a real-time data platform and making it readily available within the Azure fabric, right? Whether it's a first-party capability, something available in the marketplace. And then more recently, last year, we actually partnered with the Azure ML team. And because there was so much customer demand for a feature store solution on Azure, we partnered together with Azure ML, the Feast open source group, and Redis to bring a feature store solution on Azure, combining Azure Data Services and a variety of different infrastructure capabilities. How has the partnership broadly, and then more specifically with machine learning and AI, really taken about in the work that you all are doing with customers?
Yeah, well, one of the biggest changes in financial services over the past few years has been that company wants to innovate faster than ever. And they are really starting embracing the cloud and hybrid workflows to enable this. Our customers have a lot of ambition for the new scenarios they want to enable, but there are real challenges and blockers that are slowing them down. And this is where we see a tremendous opportunity to help our customers with these journeys. Of course, you cannot do AI without data. So any AI initiative is closely linked to your data strategy. And one key demand for our customers is to enable them to get access to real-time data. As you pointed out in your keynote, Taimur, real-time data means a variety of different things. But in essence, it is, of course, capturing and storing data as quickly as possible. But it is also about inferring outcomes from AI models as quickly as possible. And it is certainly where Redis is bringing a great offering into the market here. Today, customers are progressively modernizing that data estate and therefore are unlocking all these new emergent opportunities where AI can play a pivotal role. A big part of this is about making the infrastructure and mechanics that enable these scenarios progressively easier for our customers. Sometimes that's through offering pre-built AI solution through our applied AI services and cognitive services for things like form recognizer or a custom language service, where we enable customers to fine-tune Turing models for their own NLP applications without having to write a single line of machine learning code. Other time, that's by giving customers better tool and infrastructure to make building and deploying models easier. Like you said, Azure ML makes it easier for teams to build, deploy, and maintain their models, and give the flexibility to deploy against many targets. I believe that's one differentiator in Azure, is that we are really taking an open approach to building our platform. We know that the reality of enterprise technology, especially in financial services, is that customers have complex, heterogeneous estates, and we want to enable them wherever they are. You mentioned the Azure ML Feast integration, where we partnered with Redis to build a feature store. This is a great example of this.
Yeah, so I'd like to actually shift the conversation towards vector similarity search, which is, something that we announced earlier in the keynote, the public preview for Redis vector similarity search. The nature of the use case is that it opens up such a broad set of applications that can be built, from recommendation systems, fraud detection. You could even apply it on item similarity that you're going to do for cybersecurity, for example, right? And so the possibilities are endless. Can you talk a little bit about how a technology in a use case like vector similarity search can really be infused in financial services applications, and sort of what are the possibilities there?
Listen, many of our customers have talented data science teams who are doing great work and building useful models. However, for many customers, operationalization and integration into applications and business processes remain a large challenge. Many parts of this are about developing a mature MLOps and model management practice, but the tools are an important part of this, obviously. Creating embeddings or building a model that you can use to calculate similarities between items is only the first step. You then need to create a way to serve the model in real time and then compare the output to the known embeddings. In the demo we saw earlier, we used Azure ML to train, register, and deploy our models to both batch and real-time managed endpoints, which our data science team was able to do. The next step would traditionally involve setting up a low latency lookup with an approximate nearest neighbor search algorithm that could compare the output of the models to the known embeddings. This has traditionally required advanced and very specialized skill set. That is what is so exciting about this Redis vector similarity module. It really was just a matter of dropping our embeddings into a place where the Redis team could pick them up and hydrate the index. And after that, the Microsoft data science team gave the Redis team the REST endpoint of their embedding, and the Redis team was easily able to integrate that into the end user application, just like they would any other API. What this means is that whatever the scenario our customers are trying to solve, whether it's document or image similarity, real-time fraud detection, or any other scenario where you want to return nearest neighbors across a large number of objects, well, you can do it. The data science team create the models, and then they have a very clear path to production from there. Now that the barriers to these types of projects have been dramatically lowered, I believe many more use cases become viable from an ROI perspective. I'm really very excited to see what our customers will do next.
No, that's great, Pascal, and I completely agree with you. I mean, just being able to take something that traditionally was very complex and required special skill sets to do, you effectively now democratize this capability and level the playing field for more people to participate and build very cutting-edge AI applications. So it's really exciting. So Pascal, my final question for you is, the AI and machine learning space is always evolving, right? There's always new tools, new frameworks, new approaches. And, as much as we feel that vector similarity and what we're doing at Redis to enable that for the broader community is very disruptive in its true sense, there's so many other things that are emerging and coming at the forefront. Are there a few things that really, really excite you about some of the emerging aspects of AI and machine learning that you'd like to highlight for the audience?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the vector similarity search of our demo is one piece in a bigger effort to enable more companies to embed data and AI into every part of their business. To do this, the tools needs to make life simpler for our customers. Our goal is to abstract away the non-differentiated parts of the model deployment success or process. We are already seeing our customers increasing their development and deployment velocity for ML solutions because the tools are becoming so much more capable. There are still challenges, of course, but it is exciting to see how quickly things are improving in this area. Additionally, as we saw in this use case, there are nearly endless scenarios for applying language models to business problems, and this is an area we are going to see grow extremely quickly. One exciting part of this is that there are even more tools to deliver high-quality results faster than ever. For example, in Azure, we give you access to a number of pre-built language models through our custom language cognitive service, which allow you to fine-tune our Turing language models for your own downstream tasks. And believe me, Taimur, these models are very, very good. For teams that need to build custom models from scratch, Azure ML supports all of the major open source frameworks, as well as distributed training over a variety of hardware, including the latest NVIDIA GPUs. We also are the only company who offers PyTorch enterprise support, which gives our customers the enterprise-grade support they need for their production-critical workloads. My overall feeling is that there has never been a better time to be in this space. So many pieces are coming together to expand what's possible for our customers to accomplish in the data and AI space. And Taimur, we are really counting on Redis to partner even more with us to make that happen.
Absolutely. No, we're really excited about the partnership and what you just talked about. I mean, the opportunities are just at the beginning. And in many ways, I feel like we're in the early innings of this whole market and what we can possibly do. I really want to take this opportunity, Pascal, to thank you for your time, for the insights that you shared, and above all, the broader partnership that Redis has with Microsoft and the specific partnership that we have with you and your team. It's been a great partnership, and we want to build on top of that. So thank you so much for joining us today.
It was really great to be part of this great event. And listen, we are only at the beginning tomorrow. We are going to be doing great things for our customers.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much. Well, I want to thank everyone who is viewing the keynote today. We're at the end of our session here. I really want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for joining, our developer community, our customers, our partners. It's been a pleasure being able to share some of our insights and learnings. For the rest of the day, we have a number of great sessions for you. We also have a panel discussion. And if you are interested in learning more about the vector similarity joint demo that Microsoft and the Redis team ended up joining hands together on, I encourage you to attend the deep dive session. You'll learn a lot more details there and get familiar with the technology.
Thank you, Taimur and Pascal, for giving us an update on how AI and ML can be used to infuse IQ in the applications. Real-time AI and ML is based on modernizing the underlying data infrastructure and architecting it to support the entire MLOps lifecycle. With 80% of enterprise data being unstructured, AI and ML can help you harness this valuable data through classification and by making it semantically searchable. While there are so many applications that leverage these services, RedisFi demo showed how you can use vector similarity search to find buying signal across tens of thousands of SCC, 10K, and 10Q filings, all in real time. Pretty amazing.